A little while ago, I tweeted about using syringes to dispense solder flux when I'm doing rework, and I got some questions about that, so I thought that I'd do a quick video just to show you how I work with this stuff. So this is ChipQuick NC191. It's a no-clean flux. They call it tack flux because it's a little bit thick. It's like a paste. It's thin enough that you can extrude it from a needle, but it's thick enough that it stays where you put it, and that's why I like it. But it comes in these syringes that are a little bit on the big side, I think. It's 10 grams, so it's a good amount to buy at once. I can go through this pretty quickly, but it's too much to hold in your hand at once. And there are two reasons really for that. One is just that the syringe itself is a little unwieldy as a hand tool. But the second reason is because the diameter of the syringe is such that you don't have to press very much on the plunger before you get a huge amount of flux out of the end of it. And I find that it gets away from me pretty quickly, and it's easy to over dispense. So I like to transfer some of this into a smaller syringe to actually work with. Now, I get these syringes online. I order them from Amazon, but I'm sure that you can get them any number of places. You may even be able to find these at a local pharmacy or hobby shop. And these are single-use disposable syringes with a lure lock on the end. And they come in a bunch of different sizes. Usually I buy an assortment, and they will come with a couple different sizes of syringes as well as a couple different sizes of these dispensing needles. And the thing that's special about these needles is that they are flat on the end. They're not injection needles, so they're not sharp, they're not tapered in any way. You're not going to hurt yourself with them, which is nice. Also, it'll come with a few other things like some small caps that you can screw onto lure locks and some little rubber tips that you can put on the needles so they don't leak all over the place. So that's nice. But how do you get the flux out of this big syringe into this small syringe? Well, if you're using something like this, 10 milliliter syringe, of course you can pull the plunger out and then just fill this from the back and then put the plunger back in, you're good to go. But the smaller that these get, the more difficult that becomes, of course. You pull that out, and that's not a very big, it's going to be hard to get flux in the back here and all the way to the front. So what you could do is turn that around, of course, and maybe you put a needle in this, and you put that needle in the front of this syringe, and you press on this and hope that the flux goes in here, and most of it will, but some is going to ooze out here and make a mess. And I did that for a while, but then I found this. This is a male-to-male lure lock adapter, and this lets you put two syringes end to end and fill one from the other without making a mess. So what I do is I take one of my syringes, this is the one that I've been using for flux, and I'll pull the needle off of that, it just unscrews. I'll pull the cap off of this one, and then I take an adapter and it just screws into one and screws onto the other, and then you just press the plunger on this syringe and you fill that syringe, and it's that easy. And I haven't made a mess. And of course, it doesn't just work with larger syringes that have the lure lock, the threaded lure lock. If you pull this off, of course, it has a lure taper as well. So this 1 milliliter syringe, which does not have threads on it, will fit the taper of the adapter. And then, of course, if I wanted to fill this, I could fill it from this syringe. And that works just fine. And so I'll fill this syringe from this one occasionally, and then I put a needle on the end of that, and I put a little rubber tip on the needle so it doesn't leak, and I can just put this in my tool holder. I don't have to worry about leaking all over the place. When I'm ready to use it, I just pull that rubber tip off the end, and off we go. And usually I'll hold it like this, and I can press with my thumb while I choose where to dab my flux. And that's the way I do it. Hopefully you can find yourself an assortment of syringes and, of course, the all-important male-to-male lure lock adapter.